You mentioned that you had experiences in your early church life that vaccinated you from the Bible. What advice would you give to people who have been through a similar situation or who have a loved one who have been through a similar situation?
Well, there are some people who probably should take a vacation from church, and I think that's okay. However, I think it's not a good long-term solution, because it's very difficult for a person to maintain a spiritual warmth alone. The Christian life should come with one of these warnings: do not practice alone in your home. I guess my advice would be to find a grace-filled place. Could be just a small group, could be a group of friends, where you're rewarded for honesty, not punished for honesty. Jesus was that kind of person, and I think the church should be that kind of institution. It often is not. A lot of people, the last place they would think of being honest is in a church. But I have been fortunate enough, graced enough, to find churches where I could just say, even as a teacher, man, I read this passage and I'm really struggling here. I have a hard time even believing this. And I know I'm not really living up to it. And I wouldn't be kicked out of the church for saying that. And increasingly, certainly compared to the childhood church I grew up in, and there are options. There are grace-filled places around. When I look for a church, I look for a place of diversity. You look at the Pharisees. What was wrong with the Pharisees? Pharisees were very upright, outstanding citizens. The basic problem with the Pharisees, as I study them, is that they hung around other Pharisees all day. If instead of just being around Pharisees, if they'd been with some of those tax collectors and prostitutes and different people, they wouldn't have such a neat little view of the world. And so I look for a church that has that kind of diversity. And I look for a church that does it. One of the most moving scenes of the Gospels to me is after the resurrection of Jesus. Jesus only appeared to groups of people who already believed in him. Isn't that interesting? That proves that Jesus was not an American. If I were Jesus, and I was raised from the dead, you know where I'd be Monday morning? Pilate's porch. I'm back.